Sim.bc video 250. That's right. Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where it right now is 12 o'clock at the strike, mates. 12 double O's right in the noon, so to say, which gives me approximately, no, actually exactly 1 hour before I need to run away from my apartment because I have an interview and stuff like that for work. But that is not the case today. Probably going to talk about it a bit, but that's not the main activity of today. Because what is the main activity of today? Well, as I mentioned quite briefly a couple of seconds ago, today is video 250. 50. Wow! The audience goes wild. They can't believe it. The number, it's so high. Sure, triple digits, but it's more than that. It's a 5, a 0, and a 2, but it doesn't really matter. We're talking 250 bloody videos for a guy who didn't think it was going to get past 5. You don't realize how big this is. And we've gotten some subscribers along the way, which is all fine, all good, all dandy. It's what we want. Been experimenting a bit these last 50 videos. Haven't really had a big project. Have a big project in my mind that might be coming up in the future, in the very near future, but maybe not because, well, what I'm gonna talk about as well. I got some critique on a work that we're doing in school, you know, our thesis, or rather at university, our thesis, which is, you know, like, our tutor has been, what should we say, withholding information from us. Not really withholding, it's more like he actually haven't really read it all through, but now he actually sat down and did it, and he was like, well, rather, what I thought was going to be something like, oh, you know, you need to change like 1 or 2 sentences, but otherwise it looks fine, was more like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? What are you actually writing about? I understood. It seems like I've had an understanding of what you've written about, but that's not what you've written about at all. And we were like, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. He didn't understand it. That means that the next person is going to read through it, probably not going to understand it either. We need to rework everything. Well, which has brought up a common theme within myself, or a critique towards myself, I'd say. You know, you can't be humble all of the time, so you need to critique yourself at times. Which means that the critique that I've come to after about 250 videos on YouTube, and after, you know, working my entire life, I've realized that I am a person who rather sees something through to the finish line, and I'm rather someone who meets a deadline rather than everything should be correct, which is a huge, and I mean a huge contradiction to what I thought I was, you know? I thought I was very pedantic. I thought I was the kind of guy who looked at every detail before I handed something in. But it's becoming more and more apparent that I'm the kind of guy who says that, okay, we have a deadline in 20 days. Doesn't really matter if we're done by that time, we're gonna hand it in 20 days. We're not gonna hand in it late. Why? Well, because the possible repercussions and the possible problems created by us, you know, not meeting the deadline is going to be greater than any possible wrongdoing we can do in the report. You know, given that we're in a reasonable amount of wrongdoing, I'm saying like 95% should be absolutely correct, 4% can be a bit iffy, and 1% can be wrong. More than that, and you probably shouldn't be in that line of work where you are, right? Because you're probably doing something completely wrong. But it's cool and interesting that I found this in myself when I was, you know, lying down yesterday before I went to sleep, and I was really stressed about all of this. And another thing, by the way, something that I actually wanted to talk about today, because it's a small thing, right? It's not that big of a deal, and I thought, you know, 250, I can talk about whatever I bloody want to, right? Because it's 250, oh my days, can you really feel it inside of you? I mean, if I had a crown for each and every video, I would be like moderately rich if I had that, you know, each and every day as a continuous stream. I would be like, and if that was like my food budget or something, I would be like moderately rich in the food department. Anyway, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But what I'm going to talk about as well is that contextualized and irrational, I was going to say fear, stress. Irrationalizing stress. Because that's something that happened to me when I was, you know, viewing my life choices and trying to apply some self-critique, you know, over the YouTube channel as well, but also over the work that I'm doing at university. And I was thinking about this idea that, you know, I'm the kind of guy who meets the deadline. That's who I am, right? I like meeting the deadline because I want to meet the deadline. I want to get the job done, right? I don't want to need to look it over 400 times before I deem it to be, this is acceptable, let's move on to the next project. Or let's hand it in so we know what's wrong, because other people might view it much quicker than we do. Efficiency, yeah? Dysfunctional teams, handing it over to different teams. Anyway, when I was coming to that short realization that I came to less than 10 or 11 hours ago, so, bear with me in that critique, that might change greatly over the next coming, just hours, to be honest, right? But what I was thinking about was, this entire self-critique was sparked by the idea that I got feedback in the middle of the night, right? Or rather that I accessed the information in the middle of the night. And I read through some comments. And even though, and this is the interesting part, right? Which is why I'm saying contextualized and, irrational stress. The stress was contextualized in comparison to, or in relation to, that the deadline is in 20 days. And it's kind of a big thing that we're doing here. Not that 20 days isn't enough to, fix it, redo it, and redo the entire thesis. I mean, I could have written a new thesis and have this as day one and still be done in 20 days. Disregarding any form of study that we might need to do, because that could take a while, depending on who you're actually focusing the study towards. But if we say that we're doing something easy, like talking to people about their behavior in, I don't know, the investment, I wasn't going to say that, because I know that some people are writing about that. I'm not saying that it's easy, it's just that, a study focused on people, so that we can actually ask whoever we want to, and not like we are, restricting ourselves to companies. Anyway, that was a poor choice of words. But depending on the study, we could probably make a new thesis from today and be done in 20 days. So it's a very rational, you can rationalize it, and the feedback that we got, we could absolutely work on and be done in a couple of days. But still, I was super, super duper stressed about it. Which is kind of interesting now, isn't it? I was super stressed about feedback just because it was feedback, which isn't good, because you should be open to feedback, which I am. And we were, directly scheduling in a meeting the day after, and tomorrow we're going to, or rather in 2 days, it was, but because I actually received it today, kind of. Anyway, doesn't really matter. The terminology isn't straight here, right? But tomorrow, on Thursday, we put in a meeting, and we're going to sit down, we're going to read through all the comments, and we're probably going to be done by the end of the day, maybe at the end of Friday, depending on how hard we work, so to say. So it's completely rationalized, and we will take away this contextualized aspect of it, because we will meet the deadline no problem. The only thing that we're doing now is just making the thesis better, because, well, we got the feedback now, not in 15, 16, 17 days, because if we only had 3 days about it, it would probably still work, but it would be stressful, and then it would be deemed to be stressful, probably objectively. But right now, I'm having this irrational stress. It's not that I cannot, or that we cannot as a team do it, it's just the fact that we've gotten feedback on something that I deemed in my head to be already done. Do you see the difference here? Do you see the problem? So what I've been thinking for the longest while is that, yes, I'm done with the thesis. Now I can drop that and start working on other things. Which is basically another idea of saying that, I picked up a different project, a side project that I actually wanted to focus on yesterday, that I actually started, and I thought, wow, I can finally put in the time here. Now it looks like it ain't going to be done until, June, maybe. Or it might not even go into production again until June. It also means that some projects that I wanted to do might be pushed forward. Why? Well, because I probably need to, video projects I'm talking about, like the one I wanted to take out yet tomorrow, but it probably ain't gonna happen because we have to focus on the study. What? No, but we had to focus on the thesis and some feedback there. But yeah, contextualized and irrationalized stress. The kind of stress when you read it, it's totally feasible to do it within the time. It's not even stressful, really, if you get down to it. It's really good and constructive feedback that helps you with your work. And the the contextual part, really, in all of honest reality, is 20 days ago. It's 20 days away. It's almost a month away. We have so much time to go about changing these things, and some of them are quite easy to do as well. I mean, some of them will take 5 minutes. It's just like, the wording here is a bit clunky, rephrase this, take away this table, rephrase the table, restate the table, stuff like that. So it's not like it's hard stuff. It's just this irrational part of me getting stressed about it, because, well, It's just the idea that it's feedback, not really what the feedback is all about. I mean, if I got the feedback, redo, rework, do it right from the beginning, I would probably be equally as stressed as now that I got like, what, 12 or 13 comments about, you know, rephrase this and rephrase that. See what I'm saying? Which is this irrational part of me being equally as stressed, no matter the reason. Anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting approach to stress, the irrationalized and contextualized stress. Probably going to deem an entire video for that in the future, probably one for each, because, well, thought it was kind of interesting, and I don't know if this exists already, so I'm probably going to look up that. It probably does. It's probably not just my own invention. You know, Professor Sim, I can do whatever I can do, right? But it's probably not an explorative study, right? It's not probably an explorative thought within the subject matter and within the field. So I'm probably gonna look that up. But anyway, mates, I'm a bit stressed out today, which isn't the best thing ever because, you know, for several reasons, but mostly because I need to be done with editing and all of that in, whoa, 49 minutes now. Yay, 2 thumbs fresh, mates. Yeah, this wasn't that much of a celebration, mini celebration, me mostly talking about how stressed I am, but, you know, don't worry, that won't mean I will not, you know, post videos. I will post videos. That's part of my daily routine right now, right? I mean, I'm taking this to heart. I'm doing this. No worries at all. No problem. Worst thing that's gonna happen is that they're probably going to be quite short. That's probably it, right? And that the, well, interest of different topics might vary a bit. Anyway, mates, we've made it 250 videos so far. Let's make it until 365, because that is the end goal of this little, or rather of this huge 1-year project. So of course we're gonna make it all the way, so don't be too terrified about me talking about stress. It's just something that I think is interesting to talk about, and I think, I really deeply hope so, at least, that, you know, stress is getting relieved when I talk about it. Anyway, mates, have a nice one, and just remember, it's video 250! Wow! Amazing! And I know it says 251 in the playlist, but that's because one day I had like an awful test video, which I had to release a second video as well to support why it was there, and then I thought, you know, might just put it into the playlist, because I realized yesterday when I was producing, you know, a video 249 that I had 250 videos in the playlist, and I was like, holy moly, I've done one day double, which I had actually, but not for the reason that I thought at the point, at the time. Sorry, anyway, have a nice one, mates, and remember, 250, amazing, wow, thank you so much for watching. You know, subscribe, comment, and like if you like the content, right? And get into the discussion in the comment section below. I don't really know how to end this now. I've been rambling on for a while. I didn't really have a clear focus with this, so yeah, have a nice one, mates. Yeah.